Hi folks, Dr. Bob McCauley. Something I know a lot about: menstrual cramps and how to get rid of them. Coming up.
Visit us at watershed.net.
Okay, so if you haven't figured it out by now, I was really just joking. I don't know much about menstrual cramps at all, other than what I've been told about. But I do have a pretty good solution about how you can ease the pain and the discomfort of menstrual cramps. And that is, first of all, understanding what happens during the menstrual cycle. So first of all, when a woman has a menstrual cycle, her digestion slows by about 30%, 30 to 35%, somewhere in that range there, sometimes even more. So what's happening is, down in the uterus, it's, got a lot of things going on down there. You're trying to, get rid of the blood and all this kind of stuff. And in the meantime, there's a lot of inflammation. And in the meantime, you keep eating and eating. Well, this is causing a lot of congestion, as you can imagine. A part of the problem is, honestly, is women's diets in general. Like, for instance, here in the United States, we live on such garbage. Kids grow up on such garbage. They're eating all these things they're not supposed to. They're going to fast food, McDonald's and Chick-fil-A and all these places. This is not good for the human body, a lot of oily, greasy foods. And so you have these cramps going on, which is already difficult for a woman to begin with. And then you got a lot of junk food. But the main thing I want you to, word that we're going to focus on here today is inflammation and how to bring that down. Because the solution that I give you here is very, very effective. What happens when a woman gets her menstrual cycle is she gets a lot of inflammation down there, and in particular, if you're on a bad diet or a junk food diet. Now you got a lot of problems. You're eating the wrong foods. Your body's trying to have a menstrual cycle, and you've got a lot of conflict going on. So you got a lot of inflammation in the body. And that is where all the cramping comes up from, because this is really not, a natural condition of the woman of a woman to go into her menstrual cycle and go into these intense cramps and cramps and cramps. Women all over the world don't experience this, only in certain countries. And the issue is inflammation, I can assure you. And that's why I came up with this solution, which is basically Crampies. And what this is serepatase. The product is called Crampies, but it is serepatase. Serepatase is a systemic enzyme, and that means it's an enzyme that works in the body, in the systems of the body. And this one in particular, there's a few different ones. Nannokinase is another. There's a whole bunch of different systemic enzymes, but this is the best one in the world that's known out there. It's called serepatase. And it's enteric coated, meaning it's got a polymer coating, and it gets all the way down into the lower intestines, into the small intestines, and then it's digested there, and it goes directly into the bloodstream. If you don't get it into the bloodstream, it won't work. So if you've been eating something and you want to take a few of these, don't waste your time and don't waste your money. You want to do it on an empty stomach only. Okay, so best right before you go to bed. And don't eat just before you go to bed, because that's really bad for you to begin with. So don't eat before you go to bed. You shouldn't eat a couple hours before you go to bed, at least, maybe 3. But before you go to bed, take one empty stomach. Take a couple on an empty stomach. If you got a lot of inflammation, a lot of cramping, take up to 4 of these on an empty stomach. These are 130,000 SFUs. Okay, that's just as active units of serepatase. And so what that means is, they're actually, alive. Enzymes are moving. They're essentially not really alive, but they're active. And enzymes, what they do is they speed up things in reactions thousands and thousands of times, and that's what's happening in the body. That's what enzymes do. There's another aspect to this, and I'm going to make sure you eat some digestive enzymes with your meals, so that you can digest your foods really, really well. But when you get systemic enzymes in the body, in particular serepatase, it really takes down that inflammation. And I've had some people come back, and some women, of course, and say, wow, I cannot believe the difference when I started taking this around the time I have my menstrual cycle. And so then you would get up in the morning on an empty stomach again, because you're not eating throughout the night, right? When you're in bed, you're not munching on things. And take some more serepatase, and then don't eat for at least a half an hour, but it's better off if you can wait an hour. You want to kind of keep it away an hour to 2 hours away from any meals if you can, the serepatase. But if you're having a lot of trouble, you're probably, a lot of cramping and a lot of discomfort, you're probably not going to have much of an appetite anyway. So that's what you should do. Cut down on your food intake by about a third or a half, somewhere in there, at least for a few days, and then you can bump it back up where you feel comfortable. But when on an empty stomach, you take the serapatase, and that hits the digestive way down to the lower intestines, gets into the bloodstream, reduces inflammation, and you're going to feel a lot better. Now, the other thing I would recommend is probiozyme. That's a probiotic, but I'll tell you what is even more effective for you is Digestion, just digestive enzymes by itself. If you're eating a lot of fat and you have a lot of fat in your diet, then I would recommend Ketozyme. Ketozyme is very high in lipase, and that's going to help break down your fat. That'll help. See, what you're trying to do is get rid of all this congestion down there, and by doing that, by taking the serapatase, you're reducing the inflammation and getting the flow the right way, because you've got all this, congestion and all this traffic jams and all this stuff going on down there, and it's just too much, and it's causing this cramping, and it's just completely unnecessary. And I see all sorts of herbs out there that women have used, and I've talked to women for years and years. You use this, you use this. I use a hot pad. Nothing seems to work. I start giving them the serapatase, which is the crampies, and it's really tremendous results. But you want that digestive enzymes to get everything. Make sure that all the foods get broken down, so you do have that good flow. Anyway, that's my take on menstrual cramps and how you can alleviate those, how you can make yourself feel better, ladies out there. And it's a question I have been asked, literally dozens of times through the years, and I have no solution whatsoever. And you talk to women, and everybody's got their own little particular solution. But once I really understood what the problem was, I kind of got it into my brain. I thought, I bet you this could be the way we could go about this and make people feel better. And it turns out it's working really pretty good. So crampies for menstrual cramps. And I'd love to hear some more feedback about it. It's kind of a new product for us, but those that have been using it really, really love it a lot. Dr. Bob, I'll see you next time.
Visit us at watershed.net.